So I want to talk really quick about the Netflix show Iron Fist. Now, I did a review of the pilot episode, and I wanted to go through the entire season and weigh in on how I felt about it. I'm going to start right now. This series was very far from perfect. There were a lot of things working against it. However, there were a lot of things that really worked. I like the new origin story of Danny Rand. I'm not as familiar with the comic storyline. However, I do know that a big part of it was the death of Danny's mother. They decided not to go that route in the series. However, the origin was still very interesting. Although one of the biggest negatives of that show was that you really didn't get to see a whole lot of Kunlun, the monastery that Danny Rand received his amazing training. We never really got to saw that. We saw a couple flashbacks of him getting basically caned with some sticks by a couple of monks, a couple flashback scenes to the wreckage, and that was really it. So I'm assuming if they do decide to go to a season 2, which isn't going to happen for a while because they're currently filming The Defenders, season 2 would be more focused around Kunlun. So here's my opinion of the whole entire series. It started off really, really good. I got about 5 or 6 episodes in. I think the magic number I'm looking at is 4 to 6 episodes in. And I was really getting into it. I loved the character. I thought the casting across the board was fantastic. Finn Jones as Danny Rand I felt was a very good choice. Now again, I'm not familiar with the character in the comic series. However, as this Netflix miniseries interpretation, I felt this was very well done. The other actors and actresses did an amazing job. The character of Ward Meacham, I probably think was the best character on the show, bar none. He hit ranges going from normal to manic and insane. His facial expressions were on par with Christian Bale from American Psycho, as in that unsettling. Colleen Wing, an amazing side character, and my new crush. Joy Meacham, very good, but I am a little confused with her character. I have a feeling they're going to be, if they do a season 2, they're going to work with her character, because in the very last episode, she's talking to Danny's former friend, who he grew up in the monastery with, about how, he's a destroyer, and the only way to stop him is to kill him, and she's like, okay, well, I'm listening, and you kind of have to wonder what the hell she's talking about, because not 10 minutes prior to that, she's talking to her brother about how their father had set up Danny to take the fall for this huge drug operation, and she was very concerned about his well-being. The character of Davos, Danny's friend from his training at the monastery. Again, I see what they're doing with that. They're doing he's a very complex character. He's upset that he himself did not obtain the Iron Fist. He does have some loyalty to Danny as they're friends. They grew up, they trained together, but there is a lot of resentment there. And of course, Danny leaving to pursue what he felt he needed to pursue really strained that relationship. So there is a conflict of personal and professional reasons why he's against him and why he's now railing against him. But to have Joy do the total 180 was very pointless. Clearly there's a reason behind it. Part of it, I guess they're trying to insinuate, is that Davos is working alongside Madame Gal, because you see her in the fading shot to that one scene. So it's implied that they're working together. Anyway, so after about episode 6, I noticed that the show really started to lull itself out. The fighting was very non-existent. It was focusing more on the Meacham family which was interesting in certain parts, but it really got long-winded. It felt like the plot kept circling around the same stories over and over, and it really didn't develop them until you got to like episode 9, episode 10. So, basic lineup so far of this entire series is Danny comes back to New York to basically reclaim his family's name. Everyone already assumes he's dead, homeless. He then works through that. They find out who he is, and I like how they try doing it. And that's one thing I like about these Netflix-based shows is like they really like to hang on like the suspense nature of how you're going to like prove your innocence or prove your identity. They really like to go all out with that detective aspect of it, and I absolutely love it. Claire makes an appearance, and she's not a quick cameo in this. No, she's in 75% of this entire season. She's in there, probably even more. Rosario Dawson, clearly from the Daredevil series. I was kind of mad she didn't really like drop a name, not even Daredevil, not even Matt Murdock, just my friend. I was like, oh, come on, let me have it just once. I love it when they can mix universes like that. What the hell? I mean, DC is not nearly as afraid to do that, but they're really building up this whole Defender thing. And yeah, right around episode 9 and 10, they really started to build up this whole Iron Fist against the Hand, and then the dynamic between them and Colleen. You find out what her deal is, and they just keep circling around and around, like whose side is that person on? Why is Danny truly doing what he's doing? Is he truly following the way of the Iron Fist? Why can't he realign his chi and summon the Iron Fist? What are the Meachums trying to do as far as Rand Corporation? It was so all over the place. And not that it was difficult to really follow, it was just a lot to take in. And it being only 13 episodes, each episode ranging about an hour, it wasn't bad, but at the same time, you wanted conclusion in so many spots, and you just didn't get it. Now, I'm not trying to overly spoil it with what's going to happen and who faces what, but I will say this. The final confrontation, I was not 100% a fan of, although clearly they're setting up, they're setting up for Defenders. They're setting up for a possible Season 2. As a whole, I really would have liked them to really focus on the martial arts and the training, because that's what makes this character so unique, is the fact that he is a kung fu master, and he has mastered this art that is not easily obtained. And they showed promise of that. They really couldn't capitalize on it, and unfortunately, that was their biggest downfall. They needed more fighting. They needed more conflict within the Meachums and Rand themselves. I felt like they spent way too much talking, not nearly enough listening, and that seems to be the biggest problem with a lot of these series, is that they talk way too much. If they could have really dialed it back and really focused on really moving the plot forward and not having it linger so much, it probably would have been a lot better. So I'm not going to linger on this any further. I'm going to say this is a solid 6 out of 10 show. I'd say it's still worth checking out. Might be a higher ranking on a next time watch through. However, I am going to go back and finish up Daredevil, because in my opinion, that's still probably the best show I have seen based on these Marvel Defenders, next to Luke Cage, which I still haven't watched, and Jessica Jones, who I felt was decent, but it could have done a lot better. So, with that being said, thank you all for watching. Go give it a watch if you haven't checked it out yet. Again, I highly recommend you do. It's definitely worth it.